Welcome to the September edition of Games I Want to Play, a monthly series where I review the releases for the coming month and tell you which ones I think are good or interesting to pick up. Last month, we warned you, and boy do I hope you came prepared. If you paid any attention to this year's E3, you know that September is one of the deadliest months for a gamer's wallet. And now the storm has arrived, fellas. Usually, I'm trying to find games that would interest me to make it to at least 5 titles for the month. But not this time. In fact, I've been trying to cut them down. Still, there's a lot. We hope you don't have as big a problem as we do choosing which titles to pick up for this month. Anyway, on to the list. Atlas is at it again, releasing a hit game and making an expanded edition many years later. Not that I'm complaining though. Catherine somehow paired up a puzzle game with a bizarre coming-of-age story for a guy who has trouble committing with anything in more ways than one, presenting his fears with an apt level of horror complemented by an engaging soundtrack. The way the puzzle worked was really fun as well, so for this game to come back with its expansion is a welcome sight for me. When you consider Atlas's history with this kind of MO, having enough added to change a lot of how the game is played, and even expand on the story such that new characters play meaningful roles and add new insight for old and new players to see, Catherine Full Body has high expectations on it for me, and I have full confidence they'll be met. That and have me, once again, frantically climb a tower that's full of death traps to escape the rage of a nightmare version of Colonel Sanders. Good times. The last time I played a game similar to this would be Scott Pilgrim. That game was pretty enjoyable on its own. River City Girls takes the Double Dragon format and places a small twist on it by having a pair of girls go out to save their kidnapped boyfriends. The manga-style presentation of the story is endearing while the pixel art graphics gives a familiar feeling while animating at a level that justifies the high frame rate, such as explorable dungeons, a progression system for the moveset that opens up combo options, as well as alternate strategies. And then there's that vast mix of quirky looking and standard looking enemies to deal with. Honestly, they had me at dive-kicking cheerleaders. While it presents itself as something pretty straightforward, it actually looks like there's a fair amount of stuff to find, fight, and play. Sounds like a fine time for couch co-op. You've probably heard of a robot society. You've probably heard about a post-apocalyptic world. What you probably haven't heard of is a hack-and-slash pinball puzzle game. That odd mix of words got me to check out this indie title, and I have to admit it's very interesting in what it shows. You, as one of the last robots around, take it upon yourself to save a dwindling planet by starting up a massive tower of machinery. You have to start up several machines by bumping energy balls into them with many creative methods. The developers have described that they'll be sometimes testing your skill in hitting targets right, and sometimes be testing how cunning you can be at solving puzzles. The fact that they turned the concept of pinball into something so grand is actually pretty amazing. They even have a multitude of weapons for you to pick from, each having a unique feature like slowing down time, changing the timing of when the balls launch, or even have an aim assist for your trajectory. Creature in the Well inspires the feelings I got back when I was picking up Portal for the first time, and the trailers have gotten me pretty excited for it. How much did I enjoy Monster Hunter World? Let's put it this way. You generally clear the main campaign at around Hunter rank 14 and finish extra quests by Hunter rank 100. Currently, my Hunter rank is around 254, so yes, I love the game. This game has completely changed my feelings towards the Monster Hunter series and even the genre as a whole. I don't think anyone is really surprised about an expansion, absolutely welcome in my book. With a new map, or even a bunch of maps to know every nook and cranny of, a load of monsters between them, and a whole new set of tools, weapons, and armor to look forward to. I can already see my free time being taken away by this juggernaut of an update. While Monster Hunter World's roadmap hasn't been the best, it's definitely had more highs than lows. It's also probably safe to assume that there's going to be a fair amount of surprises that they haven't quite shared with us yet. Time to wake your squad and hope that everyone remembered to bring life powders. If not, fire your SOS flares and hope that you get good allies this time. Anyway, this is gonna be great. I only recently gave this game a look. Honestly, the more I watch and observe what the trailers show and what the developers talk about, the more I feel how the game is oddly familiar. It honestly feels a lot like a Dragon Age game that has certain amounts of innovation, featuring third-person action with a mix of magic and weapon combat, a tactical pause feature, and unique allies you can recruit if you wanted to. And you know, it's been a while since I've had a fix of that kind of RPG. Presenting itself with a unique world and setting, I can see a lot of potential for Greedfall to be a great game. And while I wasn't too happy with how Dragon Age progressed, with the exception of maybe Inquisition, Greedfall seems to retain everything that I found particularly enjoyable with the genre. Having a refreshing setting along with a story of its own may renew my interest and passion for the RPGs of the West. I tend to think of Gears of War as the movie 300 but in terms of video games. You have over-the-top characters, guns that probably belong in a Warhammer game, and a lot of level design and action set pieces that really got itself on the map. While we know Gears of War to be a mainly campaign-focused game, it's been revealed that it has updated its design to more modern nuances and sensibilities. It has shown that there will be skills or features limited to NPCs or classes, like seeing as well as shooting through walls, having extra shields, or going totally invisible. It has also created sections for more open-world exploration and side quests, creating possibly more padding of content but generally a welcome addition to the game if executed well. Frankly speaking, seeing more and more games synthesize this approach of returning to the roots while adding successful innovations of modern-day games seem to be the winning formula as of late, and Gears 5 seems to be taking that same direction, so yay for the fans. As for me, I've actually never played a Gears of War game, so this seems to be a good time to pick it up. Borderlands is a series that probably doesn't need much to be sold, honestly. The mix of good gunplay, aesthetics, and humor goes a long way while playing what brought on the looter-shooter genre. It also looks like there's a lot of new ideas that developers would like to show off with this long-awaited third installment. While the FPS genre isn't exactly something I really take to, just watching my friends play this is entertaining enough thanks to the jokes they throw in every now and then as the game progresses. New content such as classes, guns, characters, and others will surely win over fans. And if I get to pick it up, maybe a co-op mode to help me with my ineptitude with aiming by getting better players to play with me? That'd be fun. Anyway, it's definitely a game to be enjoyed with a few laughs and not a lot of overthinking. This is probably one of the titles that convinced me to get a Switch. Good mecha games that get it are hard to come by. They just tend to be complicated and probably not very attractive for larger audiences out there. So when I see a title that can capably reflect what makes the genre unique in terms of customization, responsive controls, and mechanics that matches the intended designs, I'm pretty much ready to jump on. Armored Core, Lightning Slash Photoms, and Titanfall totally knew what it was all about. While Daemon X Machina's demo had its issues, I can see that it was able to get a lot more things right than wrong. Hopefully, they figured out the problems that became apparent because I really like what they were going for in general. Having a high-flying machine of destruction optimized to your taste and coming up against the designs of the developers that reflect the many personalities they've made throughout the game is something I'm definitely looking forward to doing, especially with customizing builds for various purposes and taking on giant monsters of machines or beasts. Also, hey, if you're a mecha fan like much of our crew back here, or if you've been enjoying what I've been talking about so far, why don't you give us a virtual high five by hitting that like button? Subscribing would be a double high five, which we would really appreciate. Or, why don't you share this video, give your friends the same dilemma of what to pick. Sharing is caring. Anyway, let's move on. If something is popular enough, it'll probably get an anime-esque spin-off. The Souls-like genre and its anime-loving fans can now rejoice, as they're getting their serving of extra edgy, even edgier than God Eater edgy, dark-themed game called Code Vein. Set in a predictably post-apocalyptic world, you are one of the specialized warriors that gets a fancy gas mask and take on many powerful monsters in the Dark Souls format that everyone is familiar with by now, with a few twists of course. Now, I may sound like I'm just about ready to hate on this game, but believe me, I'm pretty interested. For starters, you probably won't have to run to YouTube to understand the story. Anyway, based on the demo that unfortunately couldn't run stably on my PS4, you'll be able to switch between equipment and combat styles quickly so that you can adapt to any situation as needed. To nail that edgy label completely, they have revolved your special skills and mechanics around the fact that you're a vampire. Cynicism aside, this is a fairly unique spin on the genre, and seems to be focused on having more diverse strategies and generally faster paced gameplay. Noting that my favorite of the Souls genre is Bloodborne and recently Sekiro, I'm looking forward to how ridiculous and exciting this title will turn out to be. The last 4 months of the year, locally known as the Burr months, are notorious for several reasons. Traffic within the metro tends to get worse, businesses get busier, and people, either as a joke or with genuine enthusiasm, start getting excited for Christmas. Additionally, for us gamers, the big game releases start coming in and spill over to next year. September wasn't exactly the month we were expecting to find so much, but that's one heck of a start for the season. Now, the list in front of you are other games that we know are releasing despite the ones you've already mentioned. Really, a lot of fans will have a tough time deciding on what to pick up this month. So, just follow your heart, people. Anyway, tiring set of releases, but here we are at the end. Thank you for making it here. If you'd like to check out our other stuff, you can see more videos on our YouTube channel and all of our articles on our site, raymrufiles.com. You can also catch us on our usual social media as shown here below. We also post some event coverage, sometimes some jokes, all sorts of stuff. You can also come talk to us if you like. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can comment down below. Alright, so that's it for now. Until next time, stay classy.